listening to The Bob Dean Show, only on LA Talk Radio.
Howdy. Welcome to The Bob Dean Show. Yay. Coming to you from the LA Talk Radio studios, fabulous LA Talk Radio studios in Tarzana, California. Sam is our man in charge. Hey, Sam. And guess what, y'all? And I love doing it from the studio. We'll be doing more of that. It's just the LA traffic. It can be such a hot. Guess who's here today, y'all? International Bon Vivant and hot babe, Jennifer Diamond.
Oh, Bob, it's always a pleasure.
Now, I mean that without any kind of sexual harassment undertone.
I can handle it.
Okay, I know. You're sassy.
From you.
It's good to see you. Yeah, I know from anybody else who slapped a you-know-what out of them. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you, too.
I was looking at, as usual, in anticipation of you being with us, some of your stuff on, and you are such a commanding presence, you know, in photograph and in video. And I mean, you're in every essence the lady, but there's such an aura of strength about you. I mean, it's really cool.
Well,
you know?
thank you.
And it just it's an effervescent thing. And I admire it. Good for you. Not that I want to be as, curvy and all that as you are, because you are smoking, huh?
Oh,
And I know I'll shut up about that now. So how have you been?
I've been great.
You look great.
It's been a great trip out here this past week.
You're staying with our friend Teddy.
Staying with our friend Teddy
She's
and
the best.
spent some time all over here.
Well,
And
you've been here to see. It's a red eye trip. You always leave on the red eye. You're in Fort Lauderdale now, correct?
I am. Sometimes I do, but this trip I'm taking the red eye back because for the sake of time, I don't have a lot of time this month. So
How often are you here? Because I know that sometimes we don't get to see each other when you're here because you've always got so much going on.
I'm here about 7 to 10 days a month. So but this month it's a busy month. I'm gone every weekend in November. So
Are you now? Jennifer is the author of Waking Up Psychic and the 50
Top 50 Psychics.
Top 50 Psychics and Mediums.
yes, and I have a couple books that are going to be coming out right after the first of the year. So
Congratulations on
I'll
that.
keep you tuned up for that.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I was looking for my copy of both of these books, and because I love to reread them, and they're in my old satchel.
Oh, really?
Somewhere in our palatial dingy bachelor pad, and I was so at any rate I would have brought them to display. But
Oh, I love it.
yeah. So where do we start with this? We miss you around Beverly Hills. I met
know.
Jennifer when I was a bartender at just a little backstory at Wolfgang Steakhouse, the now defunct Wolf, not Zwiener, but not Puck, but Zwiener on Cannon, and it was the coolest bar.
It was.
It really was great. And you would come in every Thursday with a group of professional people and friends,
Yes.
and I got to be friends with at least half of those people myself, many of who have been to my home and my Christmas Eve Happy Birthday Baby Jesus cocktail soiree, which is coming up for the animal shelters and fostering agencies. But yeah, and I knew you for 6 years.
A long
6
time.
years before I even knew of your gift. I thought you were just, I didn't know if you I just knew that the people you hung out with were doctors and lawyers. And Miss Teddy introduced us years ago, and then she was the one that brought it up. We were just sitting around talking one day. You guys were at the bar, and we're chatting this and that. And you had moved to South Florida.
Oh,
And
that's right. You didn't know
yeah,
until because I moved in 2016.
And I'll never forget because Teddy goes, Bob, Jen's a psychic. And I was like, uh-huh. And you just humbly went like that. And I go, really? And my first words were, you mean you've been reading my perverted thoughts for the last 6 years and didn't say
Yours and
anything?
everybody else.
Right? That's I swear. I always worry about that. I'm like, God, what am I thinking? Because all of a sudden your mind will go in different places. I think I've asked you about that before too.
Yeah.
You tune that crap out, don't you?
Yeah. I see everything, and that stuff is of no importance.
Good.
If that makes sense.
It does make sense. And this is what I'm saying about watching you in interviews and stuff. And not to be kissing your butt, but credit where credit is due. You give a fabulous interview, and you're right on point. You never, you're just. For me, it's a pleasure to watch and listen to. And it basically, like the interviews, as ours first did this, I believe this is your fourth appearance here
I think so.
on
Yeah.
the Bob Dean Show.
Yeah, I think you're right.
From when we were doing it over on the little studio, the Ruby Studio, which of course now is
It's a great studio.
It was a
though.
great little studio, not as nice as Sam's studio at LA Talk Radio, but it was cool. And it was in the back of the Ruby Theater, that little
I remember.
theater. Well, of course, that whole 2 blocks has been torn down.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, those of you that are familiar with Los Angeles, the Sunset area, where it used to be 2 blocks of little mom and pop businesses, is now 2 really huge, ugly apartment buildings.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So anyway, they tore that down, but that's where we first met. And I mean, first you were on the show, and this is your 4th visit, and so welcome back.
I always like coming and talking with you, Bob. It's always interesting. And
We are taking calls today, and we have a call coming in right now.
oh, really?
I don't see a name, but we'll see who it is. I'm
Okay.
sure it's for you.
Okay.
Hello, thanks for calling the Bob Dean Show. This is Bob Dean and Jennifer Diamond. Who's calling? Hello.
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 Hi.
Hi. Who are we speaking with?
My name is Mark.
Hi, Mark.
So you have a question?
I'm calling in. I have a couple of questions, a couple of things.
Okay, Mark.
I'd like to know how my business events are going to play out in the next week or so, or 3.
Is that your first question?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my second question is, how are my relationships going forward?
Okay, so we got a 2-part question here. So the first question, work related, which is often seems to be the case when men call in. So I see 2 different things. So you've got, well, I have a couple of things going on here because I can't pick and choose the information. I always tell people that. But the answer to your first question about work, I see one is going to be long and drawn out. And at the 11th hour, I feel like you're going to have a turn of events that's going to be positive for you. It's going to be a headache. I think it's already been a headache. But I do see some turn of events going on with one. That one seems to me like it's going to drag on for months. There's another one that's a little bit, little more short-term irritating for you. That one, I do see that you can resolve that sooner than later. There's somebody else that I have something else here though that's coming in. So you have a relative, and I'm going to say it's probably a sibling who you have a, how do we say, like a disgruntled relationship with. I see that person resurfacing for you during the holidays. I would say towards the end of the year, so between Christmas and New Year's. He's comes across as a bit of a thorn in your side, so to speak. I see him resurfacing, probably just to irritate you a little bit more, but looks like it's gonna be a cross between he's gonna ask you for something, a little bit of sense of entitlement, and then he's also gonna try to extend the olive branch for you. So I see that happening. And then you had a second question, which was, I think you asked relationships. Are you referring to personal or professional?
Personal.
Well, personal relationships. I definitely see you walking away from one person for sure, and another one possibly. In the area of your love life, that to me seems pretty solid. I don't see any changes there, if that makes sense. But in business, I definitely see you cutting off one person, possibly 2. So that's what I see with you.
That makes sense to you, Mark?
Yeah.
See, she's good.
Moving in the right direction.
Always.
Moving in the right direction. And I do see a little bit of a unexpected financial windfall right around the first of the year. I would say the end of the year, but I see it really in the beginning part of January. So, and that's like unexpected. It's not anything that you have your, that's in your line right now. So
In your budget.
yeah, that's a positive.
Yeah.
Right.
So keep your
Okay.
eyes open for it.
I'm going to. Thank you very much.
Mark, thank you for calling the Bob Dean Show, and thanks for speaking with Jennifer and I.
Thank
Sure.
you.
You got it. Thank you.
All right.
Good one. We had another call here, and ladies and gentlemen, bear with me because this is my first time operating this. Receiving. Well, it's blinking, so as soon as our next caller comes back through, I'm going to start pressing buttons here. See what happens.
All righty.
Well, at any rate, we'll figure this. Oh, wait, let's see what this is up here. Sam, I know you're probably rolling your eyes going, that's stupid. Beep. I know everybody else is. Jen,
No.
if you don't mind, can we go back to the beginning of the birth of your gift, we'll say?
My waking up psychic.
Yes, and that was you and Tony.
Tony, you have a good memory.
Yeah, I only had
Yes.
we're in Fort Lauderdale, right?
It was in Boynton Beach, Florida,
Boynton
actually.
Beach,
But
which
close.
is close. Yeah.
Close.
And it was what, your spring break?
Memorial weekend. Yeah,
Okay.
we were on vacation and we were in an unfortunate accident,
A horrific accident.
horrific accident, and that was the beginning of a whole new life. I was in a short coma, so to speak, and when I woke up from it, everything was different.
Well, I remember us talking before. Now, to go to the details, though, you were. They had to cut you out of the car. It took what, 4 hours?
No, like an hour.
An hour.
Still.
But Tony was with you. You guys were at the hospital together at the same time.
We were. He was in a coma for about 12. He was on life support for 12 days. It was, yeah, difficult, very difficult time in
And
my life.
of course, and in your book, and we've talked about this too, you talk about how you could hear the nurses talking before you had any idea what was going on, but when
Yeah.
you awoke,
I was not awake, and I
when you
was
woke.
yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You're saying when I was
When you were the first memory that you had with it was the hearing the nurses talk, and didn't you describe it as like a? That's about how it felt. I mean, it was like was it like an out of body experience? Could you look down and see yourself?
yes. I mean, you go from, in short, I went from a very calm, peaceful place to coming back and slowly going back into my physical body, and it's disruptive, because
Coming back,
yeah, it was disruptive is the way I would describe it, at least for me,
but you would
so.
describe it as like as a like passing, like you had passed on. You were dead.
I
But-
wasn't.
Well,
Some people ask me that, but I wasn't dead. I was
Mhm.
just not awake for 36 hours. And I was able to look down at myself laying in the hospital bed, hooked up to machines. I was able to see all that. I was able to see what was going on with the doctors and nurses in my room. But I was not awake.
Well, before I used to sleep 36 hours when I was a bartender in Miami, but that was another long, but honestly, getting back to being serious, the description, like when you realized that you were back, and I'm sure
Yes.
that the clarity of seeing yourself and the movement around you and that sort of thing, can you remember what it felt like? I mean, were you like, or was it just something that you felt was so natural that you didn't think anything about it? I mean, you could just easily look at me and go, wow, that was really wild.
None of the above, really. I mean, it was a slow, when I woke up, it was around probably 3:00 in the morning, I want to say, because it was dark in the room. The lights in the hallway were on. The nurses were like right outside, probably 30, 40 feet away, and I'm listening to the sounds of the machines, the heart rate monitor and all that. And so I slowly watched myself transition back into my body. I mean, it really was, for me, I've seen it in movies before, when you see like the movie Ghost, I think it was with
Mhm.
Patrick Swayze and
Mhm.
Whoopi Goldberg. It was similar to that. For me, it was. But I I didn't look around or anything. I didn't move my head. I didn't move anything. I stood there and just moved my eyes for I mean, it could have been an hour. I was awake for a while when I transitioned back, but also too, maybe a bit of it had to do with the fact that I had broken ribs, fractured sternum,
Mhm.
broken nose, but it was really the ribs and the fractured sternum. I was, in pain.
Uh,
So
I've cracked one rib, and I've found that to be excruciating. I can't imagine anyone that has to go through
yeah, it was
the breaking the bone.
horrible because you couldn't too. That's why I was also breathing very shallow, so you have a full set of broken ribs. It's a bit of
And so, did this involve? And now, who was the first person, if you remember, that you spoke to about it, and how was it? Was it a nurse? Do you remember
you mean when I woke up?
when you woke up and you realized that something had changed?
Well, a
for
nurse had come into the room, but I don't know how long. I don't know what the time frame was. It could have been an hour. Maybe it was 2 hours later. It was still dark. That's why I'm assuming it was. I woke up in the middle of the night and she came in probably still very early, 4 or 5. I don't know time wise, but it was the nurse that first came in and noticed I was awake, and then went and got the doctor, and then they came in. That's when it started becoming very disruptive. The noise, the talking. I didn't talk for a few minutes. Just it was all very disruptive for me.
because there were other voices besides the ones that were in the room with you, and you weren't really sure what was happening.
Actually, the people that were passed on from the other side this one particular woman I saw in my room, she was actually what gave me comfort. It was the nurse and the doctor it was disruptive for me because he was
Getting on your nerves.
shining light in my eye, asking me a lot of questions. And then that's when we realized I had lost quite a bit of my memory because I didn't know who the president was. I didn't know my age. I didn't know that was a bit of a shock.
How long were you in the hospital?
So I was in 12 days.
12 days.
Tony was in a coma for 12 days on life support. Unfortunately, on I believe it was the 12th day is when they turned the machines off and he had passed. And then that was the same day that I got let out of the hospital. So 12 days.
Now, I know in an interview that we had before, and ladies and gentlemen, feel free to call into the Bob Dean Show. Ask Jennifer your questions. Well, what was my question for you just now? Was getting back to Tony. I think you had mentioned that you had interaction with him.
For years.
Mhm.
For years and years I did. And I had a nanny who was getting scared because she would see him.
Really?
Yes. And so I went and saw a psychic medium myself. And this was in 2009, I think. 2009, I'm going to say.
What was the day of the accident?
Memorial Day,
what-
1989.
89. Okay.
89. But
Oh, you were just a baby.
kind of. And I went and saw this psychic, and he did make the connection with Tony. I was waiting to see would he be able to connect with him or not. And he did. And I was like, well, could you tell him to stop revealing himself because he's scaring the nanny? That was the last time I had ever seen him. I know when he's around, but to actually see him, that was the last time. And
if I could ask details, like when the nanny, was he like in the clothes that he was wearing, like in Ghost, for example?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I don't know. But it wasn't just me that saw him. People that would be at my house, I'd have guests over, people saw him.
Mhm.
So it wasn't just me.
Yeah.
Which made me feel a little bit better in the fact that I realized I wasn't as crazy as I thought I was. Because the first time I had somebody over and they saw him walk out of one room into another, they looked like they had seen a ghost. And they did. But it happened many times over the course. So 89, 99, 20 years.
Wow, that's a lot.
So 89 to 09.
because we had talked before, and you had actually Gene, who when I ran the Lasso Lounge on South Beach, which was haunted by two spirits, and Gene came to you, and because you nailed it, and because the point being is that she and Henry were very, very, very active, but never visually. And there were these two young girls that came in that were, one could hear and the other could see, and she was explaining that at least for her, it was one dimensional. Like Gene would be here, then she'd turn and disappear, and then turn back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't, because when I give readings and stuff, I don't fully, I mean, I remember a little about what I told you, but when I'm giving readings, it's not me. It's just they come through, I give you the message, and then 95% of the time, maybe even higher, I don't remember what
You
I
don't
tell.
remember what you're saying?
No.
Because I know naturally won't mention any names and all that, but it was 2 years ago when our friend passed,
Oh, yes.
and the young lady that he was close to.
I read for her.
And that was so wild because you guys had never met, but I
No.
knew the backstory because you had moved and she was part of the group that came to Wolfgang's, and they were very, very close, and she was just devastated.
She was devastated.
And when because you were and Teddy were already there, and it was a little bar at the now defunct
I remember.
Tommy's,
Yeah.
and I saw her and her best friend coming up, and I'm like, this is going to be interesting, and in a good way.
It was interesting. I mean, he was one of the cases that was interesting for me because I got to communicate with somebody that I knew. Because obviously I've given thousands and thousands of readings in 34 years, thousands, literally, over that period of time. So it wasn't until my girlfriend's husband, who it's all public, he committed suicide, and that was all over the news and the media and all that. And I had Entertainment Tonight, all these people calling me for a story, which I never spoke with them because it was, personal. And it was a bit odd for me to actually communicate with somebody that I knew here and now they're gone. And so that friend of ours that you're talking about, that was probably the third time in my life that I had communicated with somebody that I knew that now had passed.
Because you guys you spoke for a long time. And it was, and there was lots of tears on one side, but you were just so affirming and comforting, and basically were just like, this is exactly what he wants you to know, and he's with you in that. It was really, it was just beautiful. It was, because that, she needed to hear that.
She did. From what I remember, I think she was pretty tore up.
Terribly, and because it was so, his loss was so sudden. And
it was, but I did see it. It didn't come as a surprise to me.
Really,
it did, and it didn't. He was a very good friend of mine.
I know.
He was the reason why I saw you on Thursdays, because he was my best guy friend that I would go.
Awesome.
He was great.
He was great.
He's the type of person that nobody did not like him.
Mm-hmm.
Just an easy person
I
to
got
get
to know
along
him
with.
well because he would come in, he was always the first one there, but he would never drink until everybody got there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, I knew he would wait for me.
He would come in because sometimes I guess his itinerary would let him come in early, and he'd be the only person at that big bar while I was setting up. And that's how we got to really be, I feel like we were close. And we talked about everything from he and his brother growing up in the area to our love of cars,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. And he's missed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was a riot. And we had the same sense of humor because you can't just point at somebody and go, look what a goober, which I would never do to any customer where I work, or anything like that. But it was just the eye contact. Somebody would walk by and, or something would happen.
Oh, he was cool.
Oh, he was and he would just look at me and I think,
we had so much fun. That was.
But that's how, and the couple of times when, it's funny because my parents and my sister have paid visits when we've been together, you and I.
People pay visits to me every time I go out in public.
I
They
hope you
pay-
don't mind that I sent you that thing about that woman in New York that she's just so loud and brassy. The psychic that has the TV reality show or whatever.
Oh, Long Island Media.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah.
I've never met her. Really, I would say Sylvia Brown was really the one that I had been in contact with, like on 3 different occasions. She was
loved her.
interesting.
I read her books and I would watch her on Montel Williams. And
On Tuesdays.
She was so cool. She'd be like, I love it how she would just describe the other side. She's just so matter of fact. Like, when she had those nails and she'd be like, tap. And I remember her describing specifically, I've always, I can wait until it's my time. But she was talking about, you could go, there was like, I believe, if memory serves me, she was talking about there were like sort of kaleidoscope looking machines, where you could look in and go back in time to wherever you wanted to be, like the Titanic. Oh, you must want to ask you about something. The Titanic or, whatever, any place in time. And I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, I read a couple of her books, but she worked, she did some interesting stuff. I know she got a lot of heat towards the end for making predictions. I think that didn't come true or what. I don't know. I think
Like
something, I think something like that happened, but I saw her probably the last time I had seen her was right before she passed. And, it's not easy to read for people.
I can't imagine.
If I'm reading for 4 people a day, that's a lot. I get tired because I don't sleep a lot anyway. So it can be mentally draining. And I know that she had a very booked schedule. If I have to give 6, 7, 8 readings in a day, I have to gear myself up for it. And then I got to take off for a couple days. Yeah.
Because you do have a lovely daughter.
I've got a beautiful daughter and I'm so lucky.
She's a sassy senior now.
She's a sassy
What
senior.
high school is she at? Oh, excuse me, in Fort Lauderdale.
She goes to Cardinal Gibbons.
Hey, DR. Greetings from the Bob Dean Show. Sassy senior. I hope you're having the time of your life. She's thinking about college or anything.
Yeah, she's thinking about it. I'm letting her know exactly what she's going to be doing.
I don't doubt it.
But I think she's actually looking forward to getting out of high school.
Who didn't?
She's a little bit more mature for her age.
Mhm. She's tall, isn't she?
Not too tall.
Not too, because the last time
She's only a little taller than me, but she should have been taller.
it's the last time I saw her, it's crazy because I have children of my own. I have cats and dogs, which is fine with me because I don't know how you people do it with kids. I don't know how the first time you ever handed her car keys or whatever. Because if I have a cat that doesn't come home, I am freaking out.
Well, that's why I watch her on the.
Oh, you have all that technology set up?
Yeah. I'm like, don't give me a hard time about it. They don't realize we live in a different time, and I don't want to keep harping on her about this stuff. I'm like, it's not an issue for me. I need to know where you're at all the time.
Yep, that's just the way it is. Boom.
It's just the way it is.
And it's better that she know than having her find out that you've been scoping on her without,
But I wouldn't. That's not my.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If I want to tune my radio into what she's up to, I can, but I choose not to.
You're the cool mom. I know, right? You can call in and talk to us, ladies and gentlemen. You're at the Bob Dean Show. This is what I wanted to ask you because I've asked you this for years and I always forget. There's a person, she and I used to be very, very close. Unfortunately, we had a falling out and it was sad and bad. But she was convinced that, and we did talk, the first time I ever talked to a medium was George Norrie from Coast to Coast AM.
Yeah.
He set us up. And the point is that there was I wish I could remember the name of it all of a sudden. It was a cruise ship that went back and forth, I believe, to Cuba. And it was 1933, 34. It caught on fire. The telegraph guy lit it on fire on purpose to try to be a hero. It ended up burning and it listed and it ended up on the beach in Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and it's something that, it was a huge deal at the time. And if you Google it, the pictures, of course, and it's like this giant ship that's just the hull's burned out, but it's right there on the beach. And she's convinced that we were on that ship, and I was the guy that started the fire. In a past life. So if anything should pop in,
Yeah, no, that was just wishful thinking on her. Is she older than you?
Same age.
Okay, but she appears older, or maybe that because I'm seeing her right now. Is she still alive?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Because I'm picking up the minute you started talking about that, I'm picking up an older woman who, because you said I don't talk to her anymore. If it's a person I'm thinking of, she would like to talk to you. She goes back and forth between screw him, I miss him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's the same with me.
Oh, okay.
So maybe, but she's alive,
Well, for me, a lot of times, because I can read for people whether they're alive or not alive. And oftentimes when I get messages or messages that are meant for you, it's irrelevant for me if they're still here or not, because you just need to hear the message, right?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm getting with her. I mean, she's like, can be difficult, but then she's got this other side where she would like to talk to you, but then she feels like it's so much time. How do I go about reaching out without losing my pride? Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes exact sense. And ironically, we were best friends, and it'd be blood, and we had a falling out, and I thought it would be repairable. She is very, very strong-willed, very strong-willed. She always has to be right, that sort of thing. And we haven't spoken in several years. And last night I was brushing the cat, and I was kind of in and out of sleep, and I was listening to this playlist of great songs from like 1983 when we were kids and we first met and we worked together in Miami. And when I got my bearings together, and I left her a really nasty text.
Why?
Because there's a third person involved that didn't deserve any of this.
Yeah.
And the person that we're talking about turned her back like that because she thought, that there was an alliance between this other girl and the other girl, who was, the three of us were extremely close. The other third person never once got involved. I never brought it up to them and said, what do you think? This is what happened? Never. Like one time I said, well, you heard that, she and I had a falling out, and the three of us were like, and she heard I had falling out. She goes, yeah, that's what I heard. And that was the end of it. And then like a year later, guess what I did was like everything that this person had given me over the years, a ton of stuff. I threw it in a big box and shipped it to her without wrapping it. It doesn't matter, but yeah. So hopefully maybe, but last night I woke up and I was just angry because of the way she treated the other person involved. And I felt, the text was like, if you wrote me off, what can I do about it? It hurt before, but it doesn't anymore. But this other person, I hope that they can mend it.
Well, you probably should call her, because what I'm seeing is I don't even think she knows what she was. I don't even think she knows what she was mad about at this point, just that she was mad. And sometimes somebody's got to be the hero. So I always say this to people: when you're 3,000 miles up looking down on this, did it matter? If it really mattered, then yeah, you kind of go your own way and you don't acknowledge it. But if it does matter, then you still have these feelings, and it's time to maybe reach out, extend the olive branch. Even if you feel like you're 100% right, it's irrelevant, because sometimes the other person needs somebody to reel them back in. And I just see that I
miss this person a lot.
Oh, there you have it.
I don't think about them anymore, but I do when
So you can.
Now I have to go back and
you can call me next week
letter.
and let me know what happens when you call her.
I will, and I'll say, look, sorry about, and I wasn't even intoxicated. Whatever. Okay. And anyway, thank you for that. That's good advice. Where are our callers today? I'm wondering. Nothing's happening here. Nope. I wish they'd call us in. I know that. Well, I'm hoping that Kathy St. George will give us a call from Palm Beach, West Palm Beach,
Yeah.
and the number is 3. Oh my goodness! Apparently, Sam, they're calling, but there's no answer. So, am I doing something wrong here? I don't see it. I'm sorry, Jen. I knew it wouldn't be an episode without me saying something. I don't see it ringing anywhere. Should I leave page? I get. I'm sorry, Dan.
Technically, you got to get.
Okay, well, thanks, guys, for that. I screwed it up, So anyway, I know Kath's trying to call in, so that's what I'm saying. I don't see any addition here. So how about if we just call her up? We have time for that.
Well, yeah, we can do it another time.
Yeah.
I'll be back on.
Okay. Well, yeah, because we have to wrap it up. Goodness gracious, I don't know what I did again. And you know what? I'm going to stop bitching about it. I made a mistake. I'm sorry about that. Thank you for being so kind about it.
Yeah.
Because normally, the Bob Bean Show is very entertaining, and Jennifer Diamond is extremely entertaining and informative and fun, and you're just a good egg.
Thank you, Bob.
So let me ask you this: are we going to go a few more minutes, Sam, or are we wrapping it up? Because the screen is not the kind I'm used to.
You're a work in progress.
Yes, I know. Tap on the wall or something and let me know if we're going to be wrapping it up here. Or
Yeah.
so you want to hear a joke? Okay, well, go ahead.
Yes.
Now, tell me
a joke.
Okay. So this woman from New York City moves in. It's an old joke, but I love it. And I was looking at my old acts last night. This is from 2014. And I was telling jokes you can't tell in bars anymore. This woman from Manhattan moves to Atlanta, and she's having lunch with her 2 snotty new neighbors. The first Southern woman says, well, my husband took us on a 1-month cruise to Europe this year. And the woman from New York goes, well, how nice. And the second Southern woman says, well, my husband bought me a brand new Mercedes-Benz this year. And again, she goes, well, how nice. And then the 2 women go, well, what has your husband done for you this year? And the woman goes, well, frankly, he sent me to charm school. They're like, charm school? Whatever for? And the woman goes, well, because last year I would have said, oh, yeah. Now I say, how nice.
That's cute.
I like that. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
Oh, I don't even remember.
Okay.
No, I said we're going to end on a good note. We'll end on the note of one of your jokes like that one.
Well, how about one more quick one then?
Okay.
A sandwich walks into a bar and asks to see a menu, and the bartender says, sorry, I can't show you menu. And the sandwich says, why not? And the bartender says, because we don't serve food here. Like 5th grade. Well, this one happened. Okay, like you want to hear one more?
Sure.
Let's see. Oh, I said this the other day, and it really offended a millennial kid at the bar.
What?
Because I said, does anybody want to hear jokes you can't tell in bars anymore? And they're, and I said, what did the leper say to the prostitute? What? Keep the tip. And everybody else laughed, and he was like, ugh. Like, oh, like, no.
I think that's funny.
I do too. Well, let's see what else. It's hot as hell here in the valley. It's starting to get cold everywhere.
That's beautiful.
What's it like in Lauderdale? It's your season is coming in now. Where it's so
Yeah.
beautiful. There's no humidity this time
Yeah,
of
it
year.
ended like 2 weeks ago. It's nice. Now the weather's perfect and
Yeah, that was
sunny South Florida.
because I loved when I lived there. I was a kid and I had no reason to have to dress up. Like if you pulled khaki pants and a cotton shirt out of the dryer that had been sitting there for a month and put that on, people in South Beach were like, "Why are you so dressed up?" The point being is that
Yeah, they don't really dress up there.
yeah,
Dress up here either though.
well, it's just that there's no humidity here, and that's why everybody loves it.
That's why I love it.
Yeah, you guys can spend all day doing your hair and making it look all nice, and in South Florida, you walk out the door in 10 minutes, it's like, sorry.
Yeah, it's not good.
Mm-mm.
But it's nice now though. Like I
That's
said,
beautiful. It's,
last 3 weeks.
is there still a huge French Canadian populace that comes for season? There used to be.
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it was.
I think they're in Hollywood,
Yeah. Well, you're.
but I don't know. I'm in
What
Fort
part?
Lauderdale.
Right, but where are you in Lauderdale? Like Lighthouse Point area, or
Fort Lauderdale,
right? But
right by the beach.
you're all close to the beach. So between like Sunrise, just say in proximity to Sunrise Boulevard, or like where the Galleria is.
I'm right there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's where I started there on Sunrise. It was so lovely there too. Victoria Park.
I'm right there. Yeah.
Yeah, Victoria Park. That was my
Oh, it's
favorite.
beautiful. South Florida is great, and
Well, thank
But
you.
I love it here though. I like Florida, but I love California.
Well, it's nice that you can come back and forth.
I know.
Well, because
I'm
I'm
fortunate.
gonna twist Teddy's arm and we're gonna show up at your door without even calling.
You have to
Ding
choose.
dong, we're here. Enter Tony.
Oh.
See,
Okay.
that's one thing that for all the years I lived on Miami Beach, it was at the most wonderful time. Because South Beach has a fascinating history. As far as the tropical storm of 1930, whatever, that blew the entire beach down. God, I can't get this on the phone. And then there was like, I don't know, a handful of structures that were left unscathed. Deco was born. Miami Beach, Lincoln Road was the Riviera of the world until like the late 40s, early 50s when they built the complex, the Eden Rock and the Fontainebleau. So people of means started going to these self-contained things, and South Beach, all the beautiful hotels started to go empty. Then the Jewish folks from New York moved, and that culture in itself was fabulous and fascinating. And I just watched this great documentary that a young Jewish guy did. And it was lots of photographs and films and that sort of thing. And because I knew that there was a lot of older Jewish people, like I moved there in '82. You didn't go anywhere near South Beach because of the Mariel boat lift and the Marielitas. That the crime was just like the movie Scarface was entirely accurate. But before that, precedent to that, these people were just marvelous. And like the women in the one-piece bathing suits with the big hats out there playing mahjong on the beach, and the guys smoking the big cigars and everything. And it was just so much of a wonderful interchange of life they had with parties and dinners, and each place was a different party every night. And then unfortunately, as that those folks started to pass on, I guess it wasn't
End of an era.
their kids all started going to Boca instead of South Beach, I would assume.
End of an era.
Yep. And then it became, well, then when people, it's so funny that how many people are not even aware of the Mariel boat lift and what impact it had on Miami and the United States. But that's when I first moved there as a kid, it was like, don't go over there because the crime is so bad, you'll get your throat slit. Then gentrification, people got tired of it. There's gorgeous apartments and they're cheap. And the Strand, where my friend Cheryl Cook was a bartender, and I'm the third person in the world to ever have a Cosmopolitan. My friend Cheryl Cook invented that, and I'm in Cheryl Charming's cocktail book as well, self-promotion. But that Strand, and then the Lasco Lounge, with the bar that I ran, was across the street, and Lulu's, and these little places that started, and then the various gay clubs all started to bring the life back. And that period, it was so much freaking fun.
End of an era, though.
And you know,
But everything's changing.
yep, now it's all
South
Brookville.
Florida's turning into Little Los Angeles.
That's why I don't want to go back. And same thing as Nashville. I don't want to go back to either place because I want to remember them the way they were.
Yeah.
Now you can appreciate it because you're back and forth and it changes.
It's fun though. I mean, there's a lot of great restaurants and art galleries and a lot of different stuff.
Is Las Olas still really hot?
Yes. It's all picked back up again.
That's great.
Yeah. It's nice.
Oh, I used to have so much fun there too. Memories, getting there. So let's see. This is where you have to talk about how I pull things back in, right?
Well, you're going to end it on your last good joke.
My last good joke. Okay, it's one of those you can't tell in bars anymore. Is that going to be okay with everybody?
You're not going to offend me.
Okay, this guy buys a coal mine. He hires a black guy, a white guy, and a Chinese guy to work in it for him. The first day he lines them all up, he tells the black guy, "You're in charge of ground level to sub-level transportation." You got it? I got it. He tells the white guy, "You're in charge of picking and shoveling." You got it? I got it. He tells the Asian guy, the Chinese guy, that you're in charge of the supplies. You got it? I got it. Go to work. Mine owner leaves, comes back 8 hours later. He says to the black guy, "What are you doing?" The black guy says, "Well, I'm doing what you told me to do. I'm in charge of picking and shoveling." He goes, "That's a great job, man. Thank you so much. What about the Chinese guy and the white guy?" He goes, "I don't know. I haven't seen him since this morning." So the mine owner goes down in the mine. The next guy comes across as the white guy, Caucasian guy. And he says, "Well, what are you doing?" He goes, "Well, I'm in charge of picking and shoveling." And the mine owner goes, "Well, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much. What about the Chinese, the Asian guy, the Chinese guy? Have you seen him?" He goes, "Nope, I haven't seen him this morning. Since you put him in charge of the supplies." And the mine owner's like, "Oh, great, this guy's lost." So he gets this big spotlight. He's going further and further down the mine, further down. And he comes around the corner, and the Chinese guy jumps out and goes, "Supplies!"
That was good.
Dang. I can't take credit for that one. It's like my friend Lee Cirillo. I don't think you've met her, but she's in Del Rey.
Yeah.
And you have to meet her. And what's that?
Got to wrap up.
Okay, we'll wrap it up right now, this very second. Thank you. Sorry, you guys. But Lee Cirillo, she listens to us all the time. Yeah, she's a great comic. She's in Del Rey. She's up here. And one of her jokes is, "Sexual harassment. I'd welcome a little sexual harassment." Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you, Jennifer Diamond. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, listeners and viewers, for putting up with my shenanigans. And that's it. Well, thank you for watching and listening to the Bob B. Show. Jennifer Diamond, we'll talk to you soon. See you soon. God bless. And tell Dior that Bob B. says hi. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You're listening to The Bob Dean Show, only on LA Talk Radio.